Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the King Island Ordinary Council meeting for the month of April 2025. For the record, today's date is Tuesday, the 29th of April 2025. I call the meeting to order and declare the meeting open at 4:02 p.m. Usual housekeeping, if you could just please make sure that your mobile phones are turned off or put on silent or anything else that might beep and disturb us. Thank you. Item 1, as always, is qualified advice pursuant to Section 65 of the Local Government Act of the State of Tasmania, 1993. Qualified advice has been received to fully prepare the agenda for this afternoon. Over to item 2, attendance and apologies. I welcome all councillors and staff in attendance. Just confirming our quorum numbers again, and good to see we're again a full council. We're 9 of 9, so we certainly are good to transact council business. Staff attendance, King Island Council staff are here as required. We've conducted a comms check with Malcolm. He's loud and clear. I'd like to welcome back Catherine Dale as our Acting General Manager. Catherine, welcome back. Who will be with us through till until our new General Manager is appointed and handed over to, which may be another couple of months. So, Catherine, great to have you back with us for another couple of months.
Great to be back.
And I know that Catherine's now been with us for a year, so a short stint has turned into a longer stint than expected, but it's great to have you all. Media attendance proceedings are being recorded today as per normal business. Public attendance, good to see Faye back, I note. On behalf of King Island Council, I welcome all interested constituents in our gallery today, and also those who will listen to the recording afterwards. For the opening statement, would everybody please stand? Councillors, to begin this meeting, I ask you to stand in silence to pray or reflect on our responsibilities to the people of King Island. We begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay our respects to their elders past and present. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. Thank you. Please resume your seats. Just a note for all and those in the gallery and perhaps those listening to the recording and looking at our agenda online. For some reason, the page numbers have fallen off our agendas this time around. It's never happened before. We don't know how it's happened. So it's our bad, it's our improve. So we'll work off the agenda item numbers at the top of the page as we go through the agenda, and we won't have the luxury of page numbers tonight. So just keep that in mind as we progress through the meeting. Item 3, presentations. There are nil presentations tonight. Item 4, contributions to the community. This is the new addition to our council meeting agendas. And so in order to fire the first salvo tonight, I've taken it upon myself as Mayor to acknowledge 10 years of King Island Community Radio. So I'll note this for the record. As Mayor and on behalf of the Council and all King Islanders, at this meeting today, I'd like to acknowledge for the record the recent auspicious milestone of 10 years of King Island Community Radio, 100.5 FM. As a small isolated country community, we are extremely lucky to have our own unique local radio station. It is a fantastic information and entertainment medium that has now served our community for an amazing 10 years. Principal credit for founding and running our community radio station goes to Wade Roscombe, who we know is always reluctant to receive any accolades or praise. So on behalf of the whole island, I thank Wade, I thank all the producers and contributors to the many radio segments, which I note includes the golden tonsils of our very own councillor Ira Cook with his famous weekly What's on the Rock program. Within the rules and regulations of a community radio station, I encourage all segment producers, sponsors, subscribers and advertisers to help Wade take our radio station to the next level. To that end, I also remind all King Islanders not to take our local radio station for granted. Do yourselves a favour supporting it and keep checking it out regularly. Thank you. Well done, Wade, and great to have you with us tonight as per usual, Wade. Just a reminder for this new segment of our agenda, any community, any acknowledgements or anything we want to raise and put on the record in the council, like a motion on notice, needs to get into us beforehand, a week beforehand, and be in the agenda like this one is tonight. So again, we'll continue to refine the processes and how we use this new segment in our agenda, but hopefully tonight's opening salvo was what Councillor Allen and others had hoped to achieve by adding that to the agenda. Thank you. Item 5 is public question time. As always, if a constituent in our gallery wishes to ask a question without notice, we'll allow them a maximum of 15 minutes question time. Faye, no questions tonight? All right, thank you. We'll move on to the next item. Item 6 is declaration of interests. We've got one put in from Councillor Laidler for the Narracoopa Progress. Yep, Narracoopa Master Plan, etc. And okay, that's it. Any others at this stage that I'm not aware of? Okay, thank you. Item 7, questions on notice. There are nil questions on notice tonight. Item 8, questions with, I'm going to get this right. Item 7, questions on notice. There are nil. Item 8, questions without notice. Does any councillor have a question without notice? Okay, there being nil, we'll move on to item 9. Item 9 is notices of motion or motions with notice. Now, to kick off tonight, in fairness to Councillor Ira Cook, he was not able to digest or didn't have the time to digest the qualified advice that was attached to his motion of notice put up. So, in fairness to Councillor Ira Cook, we'll allow him to move an amended motion that we'll soon put up. Before he moves it, we then find a seconder, and then we can move forward after that. So, Councillor Ira Cook.
Okay, you've all read the background on this, I take it. The amended motion, point number 1 should now read, investigate the cost to modify the vehicle enclosure in such a way as to allow easy access to clean and remove the vehicle when and if required. Number 2 should read, investigate and seek advice on costing to repair the clutch and any pre-start maintenance. Item 3 should now read, investigate the scope and development of a yearly maintenance plan, and that this be referred to the 25-26 budget for council consideration. And point 4, that inform the community that the vehicle may be available for display at suitable public events or use by public and on special occasions.
We'll just let Jess catch up with the wording, then we'll make sure we've got the amended wording correct, and then if you're happy you can move.
Yeah, Jess has a copy.
She's got a copy, yeah. Yeah, we'll just let... So we'll just confirm the wording of the amended motion up there. I'll read it out as soon as Jess has finished typing, just to make sure that Councillor Ira Cook is happy. Then he can move his motion and then we can go from there.
Jess, at the start, at the top, just put the council and semicolon.
Yeah.
So point number 1, it starts with that council investigate.
That council should be up the top.
Okay.
Yep, like that.
Okay. All right, here we go. So this is the amended wording. That council, point 1, investigate the cost to modify the vehicle enclosure in such a way to allow easy access to clean and remove the vehicle when and if required. Point 2, investigate and seek advice and costings to repair the clutch and any pre-start maintenance. Item 3, investigate the scope and development of a yearly maintenance plan, and that this be referred to the 25-26 budget for council consideration. And number 4, inform the community that the vehicle may be available for display at suitable public events or use by the public on special occasions. Are you happy with that wording?
Investigate the cost to modify in such a way as to allow easy access. Can we have some sort of time on this because investigate and like I had a look at the car out there today and they've half dusted it and makes it look worse than what it was. So I would like that we be able to get in there.
Investigate as soon as practically possible, something like that. Would that be reasonable?
That would be good. Can we have that, Jess? Did you hear that?
Sorry?
Investigate as soon as practically possible.
The cost to modify the vehicle
I think
enclosure,
that-
etc.
I think through the Mayor, that's relatively straightforward.
Right. So you happy with that wording?
Yep.
You want to move?
I'll move that.
Move that amended motion.
I'll second it.
The amended motion has been moved and seconded. Councillor Cook, back to you to talk to your motion. Amended motion.
Councillors, as you're aware, the car was donated to the council 10 years ago, and part of the deal was that it be used for education, and that included, the donation included a trailer so that the car could be moved easily to events such as the show or the school or wherever. This has not happened. The car has not been started in 10 years. It is nice, but in 10 years it's also deteriorated out there, so if it were to be started now it would need some mechanical attention. The donor has kindly offered some monies to repairs if a new clutch is required to undertake these repairs. He has said he will donate some amount of money. I cannot say what that amount would be, but I think that if the council accepts a donation like this, and some of the conditions are that it be used for educational purposes and a trailer made for it to be transported around the island, then the council has been errant in that it has not seen that this is possible to happen, and I would like to see it rectified for the council's good name, for the donor to see that his wishes have been carried out and for the good of the island.
Thank you, Councillor Cook. And look, I know we all acknowledge Mr Fred Day's generosity for initially gifting this great vintage car of historical importance to the island to us to be maintained on public display. His generosity is and the fact that he's offering to again pay for mechanical repair and contribute spare parts and other things is very generous of him. And also acknowledge Councillor Ira Cook's passion for this subject and putting this motion up. Other councillors like to contribute?
All right, it's covered it pretty well.
Okay, Councillor Allen.
I'd like to speak against the motions. Just a couple of things of concern. My objection is that these motions seem very much watered down from the original ones. A commitment to investigate is falls a long way short from a commitment to actually do anything about this. I think the council has an absolute obligation to do something about looking after this vehicle, and that obligation happened at the moment when the previous councils accepted the gift. No different than the museum accepting a gift of some historic artefact. And when they accept it, you don't just accept it, you accept it and you're going to look after it and you're going to keep it in the state that you, at the very least, the state that you originally accepted it as. You've only got to walk through the museum and talk to the volunteers to see the efforts they go through to preserve the things they have on display there. So I just see that the original motions for the council is a little bit embarrassing, because what they're basically saying is, council, can you actually go and clean the cask because it looks unsightly and it's covered with dust? So it's a really, like Councillor Cook's come up with, it's a really nice way of saying, please do it. And then finally we've got some formal motions and saying, yeah, we really want this done as councillors. So I'm speaking against because I actually like the original motions, because they're just very clear that something's going to happen. Investigate, no worries, there's not, we've talked about specific timelines, but you can investigate and say, oh, that looks a little bit hard. All right, and then we're back at the starting point, so we'll probably end up coming back to these motions. All right. The other thing that concerns me, and I'm not sure about it, is the Acting General Manager's comments and advice about this. I just had a bit of a squiz because I've put in motions of notice, or whatever you call it, notions of notice, or whatever you call them, before, and so I've read this little part of the legislation, which is the legislation to do with how meetings should be conducted. And it says that the General Manager, and this is to do with putting motions in, so you've got to put the first bit, you've got to put in at least 7 days' notice. And I'm assuming, Councillor Cook, you've made the 7-day deadline, because otherwise not a skerrick this should appear in these papers for starters. But the other bit is that it says, and I'll read it to you clearly, it says, the General Manager, after consultation with the relevant chairperson, may refuse to accept a written motion under the sub-regulation 5 in the opinion of both of them. So these are the outs. These are the reasons why your motions our motions, councillors, can be refused if they're defamatory. I don't reckon this is defamatory. If it contains offensive language, reads pretty well to me, and it's unlawful. Asking for a car to be cleaned is not unlawful as far as I'm concerned. So they're the only grounds for this to be refused. But then if you read through that advice, it's saying that that these should not be put forward. So it's basically giving advice to us that these motions shouldn't have actually appeared here. So I'm just saying, please, when you consider this, just based on the Act, then I don't think that that advice holds weight in this situation.
Okay, Councillor Allen.
Through the
GM.
Mayor, and I'm just commenting on I wasn't the acting General Manager at the time, but I think you've maybe misinterpreted the Act. If the fact, you're absolutely correct that if a motion comes in, the Mayor and the General Manager can, if it's defamatory or unlawful, etc., then it wouldn't be put in the agenda. So this commentary is not saying that this motion is unlawful or defamatory, it's just putting forward a commentary. And if it was defamatory or the issues that you raised, it wouldn't be here. So there's a big difference in terms of that interpretation. If I can just maybe again comment, and I've just spoken to Councillor Ira Cook, and the reason why council needs to be careful when considering this motion as originally published is because if you look at number 1 and number 3, there is no amount that we can provide to council. So in effect, you are approving a blank cheque. And that's an issue for council to consider, which is particularly in light of other budget considerations, but there are no costings, so you are making a decision in the absence of fundamental knowledge. That's the fundamental issue about why Councillor Ira Cook then agreed or determined that to modify the motion, because it is we would strongly advise council not to have a resolution that did not have a quantum or an amount. And at the moment, as it's written, that's what you would be resolving, and that's the issue. But it's up to council.
And obviously the motion has been amended and seconded, and that's not what we're now considering to vote on. And hopefully will contribute to a more informed decision, whatever council decides to do in this space now or down the track. Councillor Allen?
Can I just ask a question? I'm just reading the concluding sentence here that's from the Acting General Manager's comments. Councillors can appeal the decision during a council meeting if they believe the Acting General Manager's recommendation is not unjustified. Appeal a decision means, it sounds like that this is saying the decision's made. The wording there is pretty forceful about the advice. It's not saying, like appeal the decision. I can't. What I'm saying to you is that there's no grounds for this not to be considered by council, where that's saying that we need to appeal the decision for this to actually appear here. I know it's pedantic, but there's an important point there about the advice. The advice, I believe, oversteps the mark.
Well, through the Mayor, it perhaps could have been better worded to form a different view. But in this case, the decision that's referred to is the advice that's put above it. Point taken, Councillor Allen.
I'm sorry, I can only act on the words in the document.
Yep.
Yep.
Other councillors like to contribute to the debate on this? No further discussion or questions. Councillor Ira Cook, comes back to you to finish as you see fit, or
Yeah,
close, I should say.
With Catherine's concern about the no dollar figures in there, of course, that is a point, and the fact that point 3 mentions that we have developed some figures so that can be included in the 25-26 budget gives a time frame for something to happen out there. So with that, I'm quite happy with that. And as far as I'm concerned, the sooner we get this thing rolling, the better.
Right, thank you, Councillor Ira Cook. Right, the motion has been moved and seconded and discussed. There being no further debate and or discussion, we'll vote on the motion. All those in favour of the amended motion? Got those numbers, Jess? 8, 4. Thank you. All those against? Abstention. 1 abstention, which is a no vote. So the motion is carried 8-1. Thank you. We'll move on. Item 10 is confirmation of the previous minutes. Our last ordinary council meeting was last month on the 25th of March. Those minutes have been tabled and distributed. Councillors are satisfied, but somebody therefore like to move that we receive accept the previous minutes. Deputy Mayor has moved. Councillor Ira Cook has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Over the page, item 11.1 is the Mayor's Diary for last month, March 25. March 25 turned out to be an extremely busy month, particularly on account of the King Island dairy developments. That was, as we discussed last month, that was the event, the good news we're all hoping for, and it transpired last month when the Premier came over on the 10th of March for his big announcement, which we're all privy to and we're all delighted to hear and see. So that made for a busy month, particularly doing all the spin-off media associated with that, and that attracted, which I like to think helped our island cause in a lot of areas, in particular attracting so many applicants for our General Manager position, which getting splashed on the front page has clearly helped our cause there. But it was a busy month and it was a team effort, so it was great to see the Premier over here as well as the new owners of King Island Dairy. We'll get to know them more in the future. And just as a follow-up, we didn't have a CURT meeting in April on account of Easter and other commitments. We expect our next CURT meeting to be in May, a date to be confirmed based on the Premier's availability. So as soon as I know that, I'll let councillors know. Any questions or discussions relating to my diary from last month? Councillor Green?
Yeah, just wondering how you got on with the TasWater team to discuss the water and sewage to come.
We did actually. We had a very productive meeting with TasWater. They brought their whole team over. And we sat down in here, and, along with Nanda and the works crew, and Stephen Blackadder was in the chair at the time, and we discussed the latest developments, technical developments with the steerage ponds over behind the golf course and the lighthouse, and what they're doing there, and tweaks they're making, and all those sorts of things. And lots of it was technical. I don't dare try and explain it today. It's beyond me. But their improvements they've made over there, how they're managing the ponds and then the progression of the ponds, and is clearly best practice. And it was good to hear that. And they also took on board some of our considerations about growing our town water and town sewage system here on the island, most notably extending it north of Curry, maybe up as far as the cheese factory, and maybe including our airport complex off to the right, and maybe subdivisions as they are developed that can trunk off that to the north. So they've gone away to consider that and try and include it in business model or business plan development for them in the future. We reiterated our desire to get a couple of TasWater fountains in our main street, which are good for people to fill up their water bottles and have a drink from, and dogs to drink from as well. They look pretty good in the centre of town, so we're trying to get some of those still. But it was a very productive meeting, and we have a good relationship with TasWater.
Fence.
And the
Fence around the sewage ponds.
yes, just talked about properly securing, because previously there's been gaps, as we know, and there's been hedges, and there hasn't been a fence containing the whole sewage treatment facility over there, and they need to have that for safety reasons and for liability reasons as well. Not only so people don't walk through there or take shortcuts through there, but so the dogs and other animals can't get in there as well.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't take a shortcut through there because you'd likely encounter the largest tiger snake ever.
Councillor
Councillor Bowden.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to ask the Mayor about whether a formal letter of appreciation for the above and beyond efforts that the Premier made and the committee members to achieve the result at the dairy has been formally agreed to be sent, or has it been sent?
It's a good idea, and I'll take that. I'll take that on board moving forward. There might be something we give to him in person when he's hopefully over for the next court meeting, or when we next catch up with him. If the Premier doesn't come over in May, he's already in my diary to visit us in June. So hopefully he'll be over again in person soon, and we might be able to give him something like that in person, and then publicly express our gratitude to the Premier and the state government departments that really helped us get through this. But as I understand it at the moment, the official handover of ownership of formerly the Saputo King Island Dairy to the new owners was originally penciled in for yesterday, the 28th of April, but that slipped a few weeks or so. So I suspect the Premier may come over when ownership officially changes, and the sign riders come in, so to speak, and the new owners can really have some semblance of a local celebration to celebrate the new ownership.
Yes, in the meantime, I still think it would be appropriate to send them timely, because there are a lot of departments that contributed as well. It wasn't just the Premier's
Yes, the
office.
Premier's Department, the Coordinator General's Department, the State Growth for sure, and a few others piled in as well. So
It won't do us any harm, I
noted.
just think,
Yeah.
to say thank you now formally, and
Okay, noted. Done.
look forward
Thank you.
to meeting the Premier when he comes on his next visit.
Thanks, Councillor Bowden. Noted. Any other questions or discussions related to Councillor Rowan?
Yeah, I'm just curious, Mr. Mayor. Met with Tasport's Chief Operating Officer and Advisory Board member on the 26th of March. I'm just curious what that was about.
It was just a quick visit. Alan Carey sits on the Tasports Advisory Board along with other King Islanders that are on the Tasports Advisory Board. They were having a Tasports Advisory Board meeting here. It doesn't include a council representative, does it? No. So they were over here primarily for that, but they dropped in and visited us out of courtesy, along with not only Alan Carey, but also the new Chief Operating Officer of Tasports. Gee, remind me of his name, Deputy Mayor. He's new in the job, we're still getting to know him, so really it was a meet and greet with him and Alan Carey and just update and talk current issues. And all they really gave us a technical update on was completion of the new bollard installations and fortifying the port, so there's no more bollards that will rip out of the structure. They updated us on that, which was pretty technical. I don't specifically recall anything else. Deputy Mayor's checking his diary. Good man.
Baker.
Sorry, in the what?
Daniel Baker.
Daniel Baker. Daniel Baker is the new Chief Operating Officer of Tasports. So they typically come out on a quarterly basis, and in a couple of months' time, in my diary, again to be confirmed, the CEO of Tasports, Anthony Donald, is scheduled to come out and visit King Island with 3 or 4 of his key heads of staff or heads of departments within Tasports. So if there's an opportunity for us to get the council together and sit down with them and talk face to face, I'll keep you in mind. Any further questions or discussions? Councillor Bowden?
Yes, a couple of matters. I understand the group that are working on the current study of the existing port are here at the moment, and they're conducting a series of meetings, which
Yes.
is good stuff. Has the council put forward any sort of thing from the council to them?
We've been involved in their first round of consultations, and obviously it was our advocacy and our lobbying that got the study up and running and funded in the first place. So notwithstanding that, we've had one session which we attended along with other stakeholders from King Island who are obviously heavily involved in the shipping industry. They're visiting again this week. They're running 2 sessions, they're running 3 sessions in total this week, and it's been advertised in the local paper and online as well. We've got a session with them this coming Thursday, 10 a.m.
10 o'clock, yes. Yeah.
Which we'll attend, and councillors are welcome to attend as interested observers to come in and listen to the room, listen to the technical discussion and feedback. from not only the state growth reps who are overseeing it and running it, but the contractors they've employed to do the technical deep dives into, doing their stuff. So open invitation for councillors who want to come along, and other council staff who have an interest in involvement in shipping, where the future Grassy Harbour expansion might go. 10 a.m. in here this coming Thursday. Open invitation to attend.
There's also Zoom option for that.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's been published.
Yeah, they've got drop-in sessions for the public, but then they've got more of a technical deep dive for the council and for the industry itself in here on the Thursday the 10th, and then they were doing some other stuff here as well. So we'll meet all the key players involved in the study on Thursday, by the sounds of it, which is a good opportunity for us to again ram home what we see as the critical priorities for our future expanded port in Grassy from our perspective.
One of my concerns, I hope to get to the meeting and I will mention it there, but I may not be able to, is that one of the things that this seems to slip by is that I understand that there's been quite a degree of deterioration in the draft available at the actual, at the actual docking position of the vessels. And I think it's been partly exacerbated by the practice of, in bad weather, when there's a surge coming through the channel, that some of the vessels use their bow thrusters, or even their props, I think, to help push themselves against the wharf. I mean, people who use the boat, do you know anything about that, Vernon? No. That's a rumour. It might just be a rumour, but as I understand that berth is extremely shallow. There aren't many metres there.
Look, you may well be right, Councillor Bowden, but I think this is a technical issue best left to Thursday for the experts to.
But it's a significant one.
To kick around.
Suddenly find they've got a grounded ship. That would be the last thing we want. So
we'll see if that comes up on.
I'd like to see it checked and remedial action taken at an appropriate imminent time.
Okay, noted.
Problems.
All right. Any further questions or discussions? Somebody like to move that Mondari be received and noted. The Deputy Mayor has moved. Councillor Green has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Across the page to item 12.1, the financial report for March 2025. As we do, we'll digest this section by section. We've only got 2 months to run until the end of this financial year. And as always, we'll allow Malcolm maybe first crack to highlight anything he wants to and plug anything he mentions too. So GM, through you to Malcolm, if Malcolm wants to start off.
Over to Mr Lewis.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah, just a couple, you'll see we've been included as well as in the summary key issues. So we do have, every year to date, we do have there's a cash surplus for the current month. There are a couple of things such as in the expenditure items that are slightly over. We're still tracking okay, including employee costs in terms of budget. We're going where, as a result of the March results, we're doing a 9-month budget review, which means we're projecting out to the end of the financial year. And yes, we've only got a couple of months to go, but it's still fairly critical that we do this work. On the back of the mid-year review we did 6 months ago, but we had a 6 months, so it ends on 6 months actual. It's prudent for councils to do that as they progress towards the end of the year, to do this 9-month review, just to make sure that we are on track. We do have a number of pressure points across our whole cost basis. We've haven't achieved income in a couple of areas, including such as the private works. So as we get towards the point of the end of the financial year, and particularly as we come up for more detailed budget deliberations, it's appropriate to do this 9-month review. That is, we're reviewing the end of the year based on 9 months now that we've got 9 months actual results. That's on. We're progressing with that piece of work. In the key issues, we've just highlighted, even though there are separate schedules, 4 key areas which are, excuse me, the airport, the quarry, private works and the waste. Airport's very much on track. There is a subsidy, so it operates as a deficit, as we know in the budget, 500,000. We're on track to have that position. It doesn't appear it's going to finish much better or much worse than that position, so that's pretty much on track. Quarry is showing a small deficit. bit of a lag time between some spend and some gravel production, but we're still aiming to get that back to a break-even position by the end of the year. Private works is probably the one we previously identified is probably not going to achieve budget in March because of some private works that was done in, but the state roads work. There's a piece of state work, but roads work, but it's not proceeding. So the expected budget surplus to the end of the year is probably going to is not expected to be achieved. So that's probably the one that's probably going to be down on budget. Waste is a favourable result for the month. However, there is in the budget does allocate a net cost to council, so there is a council subsidy in the waste. As councils, we know the waste comprises, there's the domestic waste service, there's the commercial waste service, and there's the landfill operations, and of course Charles Street operations. Ideally, we're aiming to get to a position where that waste position is break even. But in terms of this year, in terms of the budget, there's a favourable net saving, still an overall contribution to council though. So, Mr Mayor, they're probably the key highlights other than that the report has read. One addition we have put in the report, and I think this was part of some discussion with councillors at the last meeting. We've added a commentary in the debtors. There was a commentary discussion regarding how policy position in regarding to unpaid rates and charges and the debtors, and we've included that page 21, probably what the key issues and the key points out of there's two policies that are relevant in relation to that. There's the council's rates and charges policy and the debt recovery policy. So we've made some comments about there regarding particular around the requirement, obviously, that rates are due but we proceed with recovery action as appropriate, but noting with the overlay, of course, that the recovery of unpaid rates and charges, individual cases of hardship and financial stress and difficulty of paying need to be treated with due consideration and on a case-by-case basis. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, thanks, Malcolm. I'm just noting that the point you just made there is under number 9, point number 9, debtors, in the dot points there. We don't have page numbers, sorry. So we're having
you mentioned that, yes.
Yeah. It's
debtors.
Okay, now we can see what you're talking to there, and obviously we've got our 8 pages of financial tables as well, which if we have to refer to those, we'll have to go by appendix number this time around, not page number, but anyway. All right, well, thank you, Malcolm. We'll move on. Any questions or points of discussion from councillors? Councillor Ira Cook.
Yeah, appendix 1, over the next page where you were. Down the line where it says interest, for the month you budgeted an income of $30,000 interest, and the month actual was actually $2,000 in deficit. How do you manage to get with interest, which is interest paid to us, and we end up $2,000 short?
Through the GM. Through to you, Malcolm.
Yeah, through. I think that's an accounting estimate where there was probably an error in the previous months, because we do what's called monthly accruals without going into the accounting jargon too much. So you're right, we shouldn't say we haven't actually given money back. What we had done is probably overstated, because we accrue every month an estimate because of a timing of when we actually have advice of the interest payments. So we do an estimate and sometimes do it in terms of an accrual, and then we have to adjust that if there's an over and under recovery. So we're not actually physically giving money back. It's just an adjustment on the month to get how to get our year-to-date actual. But normally, you're right, that it shouldn't appear that way.
So checks that were in the mail have been cashed, so to speak. Understood. Yeah. Thank you. Any other, Councillor Allen?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. My question's to do with the information on user charges, and it's saying that it was anticipated, this is for waste management I believe, it was anticipated, the estimation was $97,000 and with $62,000 below the estimation. I'm just interested in how the estimation was made. Was it based on a previous year tip charges and increases with CPI, or on usage perhaps?
Not having been here for the budget last year, but right, it's usually a combination of those based on where you usually set estimates of budgets is based on one history and then the most recent information of activity and expected activity. So it's a combination of those factors. But I guess with things such as user charge and dividends, how a particular service is going to be used, and in particular with waste management, the challenge around pricing for disposal fees is if the prices, of course, are potentially too high, then are people going to practice illegal dumping versus putting them into the disposal in the landfill or the disposal site where we actually increase the council's revenue. So there's a combination of those, and it's why we need to do a mid-year and then a 9-month review, and then keep on top of what's the behaviour pattern and what's and the activity. But it's both from domestic and from commercial users.
Thanks, Malcolm.
Sorry.
Just back to the GM for a second.
I'm not too sure whether your question was what's in user charges, but if just in case it is your question, if you go to Appendix 3, user charges are principal aerodrome income from air operators and waste management disposal fees. So I wasn't too sure whether that was your question.
My question was angled at the user charges for waste management and whether this is just a little canary in the coal mine that there could be some illegal dumping going on without us detecting it.
I think it's important to note that it's not just that, it's also the aerodrome.
Oh, thank you very much. Follow-up question, if I may, Mayor. I'm just interested in the two policies that Mr Lewis alluded to. The debt recovery policy and the rates policy. I'm interested in how those two policies interact and whether there's any contradictions in those policies that make it hard for staff to administer those policies.
Through the Mayor, they went both to council, of course, and we did. I think we might have even looked at them at the one council meeting.
Yep.
There's no inherent issues for the staff, my understanding.
And they work all right and they're not too onerous.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, and if they weren't, we'd come back to you.
Yeah, thank you. No, I was just double checking. Thank you.
Councillor Oracle, up next.
Yeah, with the appendix that covers the waste management, the waste charges and the user charges are both exactly the same in budget and actual. Is that coincidence or is it a typo of some description?
It's coincidence through me, Mr Mayor. I looked at that and I thought, oh no, I've made a transcription of error, and I went back and checked it. It's coincidence. But it's coincidence, you're right, but they've come in. But the actual budget is pretty close anyway, but the year-to-date is close, but it's actually coincident that the numbers are the same with that itself. So it's unusual, but it can happen because the numbers themselves are around about the same activity, but they happen to be that activity. We haven't put it. These are in thousands of dollars, of course. If they were in whole dollars, they'll probably be a little different, but they're rounded up to thousands.
All right. Other questions? Discussion? Sorry, Councillor Bowden, I did miss you earlier.
Markham, this is probably an unfair question to ask you, but I just wondered in your frame of reference in your head there whether you have other knowledge of other councils who are faced with the enormous problem of having to maintain an airport. It's going to cost us of the order of $500,000 a year on a very small rate base with absolutely no capacity to service those bills of that kind. And I think it is either a state or Commonwealth or whatever responsibility to contribute. And I'd be interested in your thoughts. Do you have any knowledge of what happens elsewhere?
Through you, Mr Mayor, happy to make something. Yes, you're right. The King Island does have some unique challenges, and you're right, I've had the opportunity to be involved in probably many councils, particularly around Victoria and around up the eastern seaboard, New South Wales and even Queensland. Probably King Island's challenges probably as probably, as I don't want to use the word onerous, as enough councils that I've assessed, but probably because of the uniqueness and the ring fence of having an airport. You're right, it's only because of very few councils that have an airport. Only some councils have landfill, and only some councils have a quarry. Most of the councils deal with, in fact, I'd say nearly every council, particularly regional and rural councils, have issues regarding infrastructure and replacement, roads and drains. Probably not so much drains here. Big one for us is obviously is inherited assets, as we know, such as jetties. So they're a regular where council has an asset, they're gifted an asset which is gifted, then they have the maintenance responsibility of those assets with limited funding. So yes, there are certainly similarities, but the use of an airport and having to deficit fund as an airport is, even though we do get some funding from the State Grants Commission, but it obviously doesn't cover that. We get a significant part of our second biggest source of revenue behind rates is the state grant revenue while we're putting in a submission. But the challenges faced by King Island as a council, and as a council that has to do an airport of a quarry, we've got costs coming up for next year's budget that I alluded to regarding the rehabilitation of the quarries. So anytime you dig a hole in the ground, the EPA, whether it's a quarry or whether it's a landfill, the EPA gets sensitive about it in terms of what rehabilitation costs you do. You bring in consultants to actually do that work, then you've physically got to do, or to actually assess the work you need to do, satisfy the EPA, then you have to do the work, pay to do the work, and then satisfy the EPA again. So those are probably a mix of those, including the airport, does make this council's challenges is probably as anxious as probably any of the councils that have identified. Plus the relative scale. It's a small council. It doesn't have a large budget. As I said, most councils that I've come across have an infrastructure gap. That is, they're not spending enough on their infrastructure. But it's some of those costs can be deferred. Other costs, such as the EPA cost for CASA for the airport, can't be deferred because they're compliance costs. So I hope that provides some sort of context for you through me, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Malcolm. And you can also see there on the tables in black and white how depreciation unfairly treats our airport complex as well. Disproportionate and unfair, isn't it? Anyway, but we know the issues with depreciation and council assets. Any other questions from councillors or points of discussion? Councillor Bowden again.
Well, thank you, Malcolm, for your reply there. I'd just like to add in that Flinders Island has received, as I understand it, or I don't know whether it was mooted or whether it actually received, a grant of $10 million towards the upgrading of their airport. So I'd like King Island to put their hand up and basically say me too.
I
really think that we've got a strong case for increasing the pavement strength of the runway to a standard so that at least Charter 727s safely can be operated here.
Noted, and we'll definitely be going for every grant opportunity that we can for airport improvement and expansion. Similarly, any politician that was prepared to listen to us in the lead up to the next federal election, airport expansion and development here was our number one priority down federal lines, but we didn't have, unfortunately, too many promises given to us in the end, but we had a crack.
I'd like to suggest that we write the State Gross and say that it's becoming a very serious problem for our budget, and we'd be quite willing to give the airport to State Gross with our compliments.
Thanks, Councillor Bowden. We'd noted, and sentiments probably shared, but we better move on. Any further questions related to the financial report or the financial tables? All right, so would somebody like to move then that we receive a note the financial report for the month of March? Councillor Ira Cook has moved. Councillor Layla has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll thumb over to item 13.1, the operations report for March. Nanda's with us, which is great, the Works Manager. Any questions or discussion, or through the GM at Nanda's discretion if he'd like to highlight anything?
In the month of April, we have completed majority of plumbing and electrical works. We are aiming to complete the ablution walk project by end of this week. I think it can be open to public by Saturday this week. So we have replaced a culvert as part of state growth project we are planning to replace it in month of June. And related to North Pit, a draft proposal for North Pit has been sent to EPA and they have made some comments and Hydro Earth is working on top of them to respond to them. In tennis courts, we have made some improvements there. We have done a concrete job and at the same time improved the access ramp and stabilized the retaining wall there. In terms of other projects, I have an update. So the Main Street beautification project, we are planning to start in second week of May. The Hickman Street project on fourth week and between fourth week of May and first week of June. The library ramp will be started on 12th of May. The date has been confirmed. Also, the parking alignment, we haven't made it as a part of a beautification project. We have given it to a different contractor, which we believe that is going to start in mid-June.
Thank you, Nanda. That is music to our ears. That is the good news of this council meeting so far. The Main Street parking reconfiguration and Main Street beautification works will commence here the second week of May. Fantastic. That is brilliant. We know we all want to see that. We know our constituents want to see that. So that's music to our ears. Any questions from councillors? Any discussions? Councillor Laidler?
I just want to comment and thank Nanda for all his support. We've been working on 2 grants for Narra Cooper, the jetty and the playground, and Jess as well for her support. So it's we've put in for some funding and we'll just keep our fingers crossed that we receive those. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Laidler. And look, just I've discussed it with the GM and the Deputy Mayor and a couple of other councillors that the format in this section is and you inherited it from the agenda, but the format in this section and the tables there need a bit of a tweak because it doesn't quite give us the scan of the dials that we want. So we're going to do some more work on that. All right, Councillor Allen.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a couple of questions. First one's to do with the works getting done at the tennis courts, which is terrific. I see a completion date on May 25 this year. I'm just interested in what's still to be done down in that area. What's the extra bits?
Okay, through the GM to Nana.
So we have only the windows replacements to be done there, that's it. Yeah. The window replacement is still outstanding. And the ramp as well, there is some fiberglass material which we have ordered. It's just already at the depot and that's going to be fixed. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And just a second question in relation to the Main Street beautification project. I've probably missed it in my emails. I'm just wondering whether the plans have been distributed to the councillors.
Don't believe they have.
All right.
The final parking configuration, which was consulted with the public last year, was assuming we haven't changed that, and we're still running with that. We know that, and we've seen that. Although it wouldn't be handy for us to have another look at it and a refresher, for in case we get any constituents from our.
Yeah, I'm sure parking's beautiful, but I think there might be more to the beautification than just parking. Yeah. So I'm interested. I love looking at plans. So I just wonder any chance we might be able to have a look at the plans because it excites me.
Planter boxes and seats.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, I'm really interested in that sort of thing.
Yeah, noted. If when they're ready and you think they're good to go, please share them with us, so we can see the great work that's about to be done, and then we can field and answer any questions from our constituents about it.
Plants, aesthetics, beautification. Right.
And again, if you need me as mayor, a lot of it you can do at the operational level. That's fine. But if you need me as mayor, just to remind people that there's going to be some temporary disruption in Main Street. It's been staged to hopefully minimise that disruption, but it's going to be short-term pain for long-term gain. So if you need my help there, let me know. No problems at all.
There will be
Councillor
a comms plan there for that.
Sorry, say again?
Comms plan for that.
Excellent. Good stuff. All right. Councillor Bowden.
I have a question for Nanda in regard to the Old Grassy Road. The Old Grassy Road was quite recently upgraded to basically a light vehicle standard by council. what is happening on that road is it's being used as a shortcut by heavy trucks. And they are carting to the port using that route. There were previous council attempts to limit the loads on that road because it's going to fall on the ratepayers to repair it. Now, you don't need to be a road engineer to go down there and see that the road is breaking up in sections. And I have received, as a councillor, a number of complaints from people that have been trapped behind a stock trailer. And there's a public safety issue there. Those stock trailers are extremely unstable, particularly if they're forced to move to the side of the road. So their solution, and I don't blame them for this, is that they are driving down the middle of the road because I've driven to a limited extent heavy load trucks of similar kind, and I know what's going to happen if they move to the side and a driver forces them even more to the side. The danger is in wet weather particularly that their trailer will slip. As soon as it slips into the gutter and it starts to lean, they are history. They cannot recover. The truck is going to go over loaded with stock, and that has happened a number of times, far too many times, maybe 7 or 8 times on the island. Not all of the turnovers were with loaded stock trucks, but a number were. And I understand that the drivers are choosing what they see as the safest route, but there are no bays where they can move off to allow trucks or even cars to pass safely. So if you're caught behind it, you're basically stuck there. They travel at very slow speeds, around 20-25 kilometres, about maximum most of them are game to get to. And it's a long trip to Grassy or wherever you're going.
Councillor Bowden, I'm sorry to interrupt, but look, just with reference to the report, if Nanda's prepared to give us a quick update on works happening on Old Grassy Road in general, then that might answer your questions. Otherwise, we really need to move onwards.
I just see it as a very significant safety issue. I spent some time on it there, and there's quite a lot of people around the community that are concerned, but certainly if you could take it on board, we're very happy and make a lot of ratepayers happy.
Through the GM, if you've got any updates on Old Grassy Road, otherwise take it on notice and get back to us.
I think it's a matter of load restrictions. I would like to see that be done immediately with no need to come back to the meeting.
Okay, we'll just let Nanda have it.
I'm not too sure whether we are allowed to stop any such traffic, considering that the road is designed for a heavy vehicle or not, heavy vehicle or low usage vehicle usage or not. I'll look into that issue.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, in the interest of Councillor Allen, do you have one?
Yeah, just a follow-up question on Councillor Bowden there. I recollect I asked a similar question back several months ago, and what I alluded to was that a previous works manager took it upon themselves to remove the load limit on that particular road. I was under the impression that the load limit was there because of the strength of the bridges that on that road. And the question I asked is, what can be done about it? Is that legal? Is that best practice? And the response I got, I recollect, was that was referred to the Roads and Bridges Working Group. So my question is, has the Roads and Bridges Working Group discussed it? And if so, what was the conclusion of their discussion?
Yeah, so we haven't discussed it. We'll take it on notice for Thursday.
I'm intrigued why it hasn't been discussed, because I asked that question many months ago.
Okay. Old Grassy Road, load limit. Noted. Any final questions then? Discussion points? All right. If councillors are happy, would somebody like to move that the operations report for March be received and noted? Councillor Iracook has moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Healy has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Across to item 13.2, the airport report for March 2025. Jayden is not with us tonight. Just a quick update. The recruiting campaign for our new airport manager is in full swing again. and hopefully this time around we'll have a successful outcome and be able to appoint an long overdue new airport manager. So that's happening at the moment. However, we have employed a new ARO who starts work with us next month, I believe. That's right. Excellent. So Jaden and his team are understaffed, as we know, and they've been flat out over our busy months of summer with all the aircraft movements, but they're about to get reinforcements, at least one new ARO, and hopefully Jaden will have a new boss if our latest recruiting around for the airport manager works out. So that's happening at the moment. You can see their monthly landings. March, last month, 401. I don't think I've ever seen numbers in the 400s before for a given month. So we'll take that as a good sign of growth of aircraft movements through our airport. If we continue down that path, our airport might even start to break even or pay for itself. So it's welcome to see that we've had an amazing number of aircraft movements last month. And I also note that was in the news today, and this is very important for King Island, is that QantasLink flying into the Burnie Wynyard Airport with the new bigger Q400 aircraft, that's a 70-seater. They are now operating that bigger aircraft out of Burnie Wynyard without the requirement to have passenger security screening. So that could be a potentially big game changer and opportunity for King Island. So that was only came out of the news today, so we'll note that as a big opportunity and maybe a window we can start to move on some of our own plans to consider when and if QantasLink might come into King Island in the future. Councillor Healy, a question from you.
It is brilliant to note the highest number of aircraft landings in the past month. It's also interesting to note that it's almost a 50-50 split or 60-40 split for RPT and private aircraft. So charter planes are really, there's a lot of charter flights coming in, so that's just a really interesting thing to note. RPT flights are pretty consistent throughout the year, but that's a really interesting variation to what's been happening previously.
And we did discuss your point from a few council meetings back to at our recent or our first airport board meeting for the year. We did discuss the possibility of working out a way by which we can try and get more data from charter flights. Right. But with our airport team at the moment understaffed, it just fell off the priority list for that reason. But we did consider it.
It'd probably be also quite interesting once we fully staffed, as to how many of those charter flights are actually inside airport hours, terminal hours, and which are not. That'd just also be an interesting.
It would be, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Was there another question? For Councillor Allen? Go to Councillor Allen first, and then Councillor Bowden will go to you.
Thanks. I just anticipate the response to this will be, you should have read your email, Councillor Allen. But last meeting I asked a question, and it was relating to the charter airlines that come in and they allow their passengers to access the side gate rather than going through the terminal. And many of those charter flights are coming from outside our state, so they have to meet the biosecurity conditions. So the question was whether they are actually meeting their regulatory obligations by allowing them to go through that gate. So the question is, did I miss my emails? Has that question been answered?
I just, through the Mayor, I don't have a direct answer for that, but what I can just remind councillors is that biosecurity don't work all the terminal hours. So they are generally not there on weekends, I think. Is that correct? Yeah, no, thanks very much for that. No, that wasn't my specific question. Okay. My specific question was whether they, those charter airlines are allowed to have their passengers go through that gate and how that interacts with biosecurity regulations. So it seems like I haven't missed my emails.
Biosecurity have just recruited themselves a new detachment commander for King Island, if you will. That individual has just been employed and is being trained up at the moment. When they get around to visit us and other areas, other stakeholders, it's one of quite a few questions I want to ask them myself. So I'll definitely keep it in mind. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to speak to them personally, and they've been understaffed here on the island. There was only one biosecurity person for a long time on account of.
Yeah. So I'm just hoping if I haven't missed my emails, if someone can just follow up and get an answer to that question I asked the last meeting, please.
Noted. Councillor Bowden, did you have a question?
I was going to ask in regard to charter flights whether any practical solutions have been derived regarding access for out-of-hours arrivals to washroom facilities?
Well, through the Mayor, we have answered that, I think, on 2 or 3 occasions. So, yes, that can be achieved, but it will be at a cost.
Is it actually operating? That's what I'm...
Sorry?
Have we got a solution at a cost actually operating?
We can cost a Portaloo. I think we have provided that, but that will add additional cost. We're already running at a $500,000 deficit. It'll be at a bigger deficit. So it's an issue for council, particularly in light of the fact that part of your strategic plan says that you would like the airport to go towards a cost-neutral position, which at the moment is $500,000 the wrong way, and that would make it go further the wrong way. But we have, Councillor Bowden, I think we've answered this in some detail at least 3 times.
I'm just interested in getting a practical solution. They are long flights. Some of these people coming from Queensland, as I understand, they must be in a state of some discomfort, you would think.
It's a look. Yeah.
Cannot the bus drivers be given a key or something like that?
It's a fair consideration. Again, we'll continue to look into the issue, and if a solution presents itself, we'll definitely do it. But airport loss making, as we said, understaffing of our airport staff and other considerations. We haven't been able to achieve a solution for it so far. Doesn't mean we've given up. Doesn't mean we won't in the future. But we're happy to take on ideas, but it's something hopefully we'll continue to work on, and maybe down the track we will arrive at a solution, and when our airports team is fully staffed, maybe that might present an additional solution in itself. Councillor Allen?
Yeah, just on that point, I was speaking to a former councillor who was a councillor at the time when the airport redevelopment was done. They led me to believe that the design of the disabled toilet was done in such a way that there could be an internal door locked and allow access to the an external door open, which would mean it would allow access to the toilet for people, and they wouldn't get access to the greater area of the terminal. So my question is, could the airport board please look into that?
Okay. Yeah, noted. That's a fair suggestion.
It's thrashed.
We'll take that on. Take note of that for the next airport board meeting. Any other questions then or discussion points related to the airport report? Somebody like to move that we receive the airport services report? Councillor Healy has moved. Councillor Green has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Across to item 14.1, Community and Cultural Development Report for March. Again, we've got Taylor with us. Taylor, good to have you with us again tonight. Been a busy, as summer is on King Island in particular, a busy period of art exhibitions, openings, and changing and freshening up our gallery, and a whole lot of other things going on. Artists in Residence has just changed over as well, which is good. So we'll see a new face around as our Artists in Residence, and there's plenty of things happening in that space. So, Councillor's got any specific questions or points of discussion?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I'd like to congratulate Taylor and Jess for running the opening for the Youth Week down at the tennis courts. I didn't believe there were so many kids on King Island, but it was packed, and I think they all had a very good day. Well done, Taylor.
Yeah, it was a good event. Well done. As was the Youth Voices art exhibition opening a while back too. That was clearly popular with the kids and got so many involved. So well done on that front.
Probably similarly and extension from just the making of interest with the social media that surrounds it. It's not just we have these events and it appears once. Taylor is the master of really making it a broad, not necessarily social media, but letting people know that things are happening, and to great success.
And I think we mentioned it a while back, but again, it's always worth plugging, is our list of artists and residents this year are taking us into new ground. All sorts of new and different artistic disciplines that have never been here before are coming this year, and so that'll be interesting in itself, and hopefully it'll be popular with our strong art community here on King Island. Through the GM, if Taylor would like to highlight anything or mention anything.
GM, yeah. Thank you everyone for all the positive feedback. That's wonderful to hear. Obviously, there was a lot of planning around Meet Me at the Courts that happened over March, but I'll save it for my report in April about what happened. But I think while everyone's here, and Nanda brought it up, and Helen's here, and Jess, it was obviously a huge team effort to get our Youth Week off the ground. We pulled it together pretty quickly, and for the Meet Me at the Courts event, everyone pitched in, and the depot team just made it happen like in a flash. And Councillor Ian was also involved, and a lot of the volunteers were teachers from the school that just came down there. And again, I could speak more about it for next month, but it's just, I just want to say thank you, because that was how it all came to be, and the same with the Youth Voice exhibition as well. So, but thanks everyone for noting that, and it was great to actually do some stuff for Youth Week.
Yes, thanks Taylor, and yeah, yes, well said. Pretty much everything we do is a team effort, because we're such a small, or one person deep in most of our departments in the council. But yeah, good team effort, well done, council. And any other questions or discussion points? Councillor Rowan Cook.
For Taylor, just through the Mayor, I was just wondering, I just think it's just an important thing to sort of talk about and bring light to, just bring this to the public about SPIN, the King Island Service Providers information. I'm just wondering, what's the next progress area?
So thank you through the GM, Councillor Rowan. So this King Island Service Providers Information Network has taken on, noting that we can't tackle all the issues at once, taken on 4 key priority areas. So it was determined at our last meeting that this issue of CPAP that has been on there for quite a long time, has then now been covered by the Access to Health project plan, and the coordinator there willing to kind of lead that initiative. So excitingly, we can now take on a new initiative, which the members have been invited to think about and send in advance, that we can all discuss and informally vote upon. So I don't actually have an answer for you yet, but the next meeting was a pretty quick turnaround in mid-May, and we'll be deciding then, so I can report back on that.
Councillor Layla is our council representative on the SPIN group, and I'm keen and eager to answer that one, for sure.
Because we actually are doing suicide prevention training and self-care through CAUSE. It's taken nearly a year to organise, so that's happening next Monday and Tuesday. Yeah. So which is the suicide prevention program is based on learning the skills around supporting people, families, but also has a community development component of that, what we might be able to do as a community to support people in that space. So yeah, that's taken, and the Lions Club is supporting that quite considerably, that program through their community care program.
And the SPIN group is run quarterly. Quarterly SPIN meetings?
Yes, yeah. And the other project that I think we'll put forward is updating our information, our written information on the service providers. That's something to be done.
Councillor Rowan, does that answer your
No,
question?
thank you very much. So thank you both of you.
Any final questions then relating to community development report? If councillors are satisfied, would somebody like to move that Community Development Culture Report for March be received and noted? Councillor Ira Cook has moved, Councillor Layla has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Over the page, item 15.1, the Growth and Strategy Report for March. I note first and foremost, and it's exciting to see it, the proposed hub official opening date, 17th of July. So fingers crossed on that one. It aligns with the other event that's happening on the island. And if it comes off as planned, it should be and will be a big day of celebration on the island. So
through the GM, there's a lot more planning that's happened since this report was written, let alone since March. It's looking like it's going to be a fantastic weekend, so not just the one day, but actually 4 or 5 days of events around Curry and around the island, that will really help us build our visitation and create some real buzz for the community as well. And talking with Events Tasmania about some potential additional funding to really make that possible.
wow, if that comes off, that would be brilliant. Any questions from councillors? Any questions or discussion regarding to the areas in that report? Councillor Allen.
Thanks, Mayor. Terrific to see the good old courts are opened. I must apologise, I wasn't there. Did I miss an invitation? Did I? Oh, because I've ignored my inbox confession. All right, thank you.
It was stood up pretty quickly though. Senator Urquhart surprised us and came over at relatively short notice and said it was the only time she was going to visit us during the election campaign. So we had to roll with that, and we moved quickly on that. So, but again, that was a good acknowledgement of the funding line that we received, the grant we received, etc.
So when I get a clear day, I'm going to go and read all my emails and catch up with what I've missed.
Councillor Green.
I haven't got a question, but I've just got a comment through the Mayor, just to say that when I'm walking past with a dog and that, it's absolutely fantastic to see all the amenities down there being well and truly used. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yes, and we'll keep it. And again, thanks to the work team for what they did, work around the edges, and some other things that have since happened. And obviously, we're going to keep at it, trying to find a grant opportunity or whatever else may deliver the new Wolf Stallmaker complex, an entire new change sheds or whatever else, or refurbishment of that old clubhouse. Whatever we can do will be the next step. And good to see it being used, and them all being used by kids, etc. Councillor Layla.
Just really another comment, and that was around the Australian Rural Leadership Foundation's Changemaker workshop, which Rowan did a really good article for the paper on, yes. And that it was a really worthwhile workshop, and that through that while learning processes we actually worked on some significant King Island issues, which are currently being typed up by King Island Regional Development Organisation to share with councillors and whoever may be interested.
Yes, well done, Councillor Rowan and Councillor Layla, for leading Council's push and contribution to that. Excellent, good work. Councillor Oracle, did you have a question, sir?
Yeah, just the organisation of a launch event as part of the On Island Tourism Forum in May. Well, there's something there. Have we got an event happening in May?
Through the GM to Helen, if you can answer that for us.
Yep. So King Island is generally, the operators on King Island find it difficult to attend the Regional Tourism Forum in Devonport in May, and so West by Northwest have decided to deliver a specific King Island Forum on the 27th of May, which was a beautifully clear evening when that date was set. So that's going to be at the Brew House. We've got Tourism Australia, Tourism Tasmania, Events Tasmania, and West by Northwest coming to the island, and the Tasmanian Hospitality Association are hoping to come over again as well, to talk to operators about some of the tourism trends and opportunities for growth moving forward.
Thank you.
Councillor Bowden.
I have a question for the for Helen. I realise this matter of contributions towards from tourists towards the upkeep of their facilities that they gain free access to, which is a parks area where they directly charge users quite a considerable amount. It's about $100 for a car park, and a fairly considerable charge if you just want to visit the park. On King Island you do all those things for free. There are no charges. But we are paying, as the General Manager has pointed out, an unsustainable amount in of $500,000 in upkeep of that airport. So as a starter, I'm asking that would you take it on board to write a letter to the main beneficiaries of the charter operators in particular, who are the golf clubs, and perhaps others that you may think of, and say, are they prepared to make a direct contribution so that we can improve our services, namely with a toilet, which may be a simple key provision, but otherwise we're going to have to look seriously at a bed tax or other very unwelcome moves, charges on the buses, or some way of at low cost raising some further funding, because it's totally unsustainable to keep, as the General Manager's pointed out, they're just loaded on the general airport charges.
Councillor Bowden, just before we go to Helen, I appreciate the intent and where you're coming from on this, and it's something that might be part of a consideration moving forward for bed taxes, departure taxes, arrival taxes or whatever else. But we as a council just need to be very, very careful writing to private industry, attempting to solicit contributions or donations. That could stand us in trouble. So we'd need to be careful even considering that as a council. Pardon me. GM, did you?
Just through the Mayor.
Have anything else
this
to add?
would have to be a council strategy, I think. It wouldn't be on Ms Thomas to write letters from that perspective. It would need to be a council strategy and therefore an outcome of a council decision.
Oh, sorry, frog in my throat.
How do you suggest we start the ball rolling a lot more forcefully?
Well, councillors, you can at any time put an item on the workshop. And the budget's coming up, as is the annual plan discussion, which will be commencing next Tuesday again. So if that's something the council wants to consider as an action, as a strategy, then that would be the time to put that in, and then council can vote whether they support that or not.
And then a lot of feasibility and study would have to be put into it, obviously.
On my point of view, I mean, I don't want to suggest something that's not going to receive any support from the council. So is the council going to support these?
Well, through the Mayor, this is not the time or the forum to, I think, put councillors on the spot. It's time for a discussion away from a council meeting, because we have an agenda here, and under the legislation the Mayor must keep the council focused on what's on the agenda. This is a different agenda item which is certainly can be raised in another forum, but not tonight.
And, when the time is right, certainly we'd be prepared to consider it, but whether we'd support it or not depends on, what we consider in the first instance. But Councillor Allen, did you have a question?
Oh, no. I'm going to bite my lip for a change. So out of character.
Any other questions then? All right, somebody like to move that the Growth and Strategy Report for March be received and noted. Deputy Mayor has moved, Councillor Green has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll go over the page. Item 16.1, council workshops. Only the one recent workshop in May, on the 1st of March as it goes. Nothing significant to report. It was all pending business mostly for this council meeting tonight. And we expect additional workshops to be held during during May and June as we finalise our next budget financial year. So I know council is prepared to stand up a couple of extra workshops over the next 2 months to get us over the line on that. So they will probably be required to cover the detail involved. GM, do you have anything else from?
No, it's just for noting really.
Oh, pardon me, water went down the wrong way. Somebody like to move that we receive that report? Councillor Layla has moved. Seconder? Councillor Green has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Across to item 16.2, the General Manager's information report for March. Again, we can go through this section by section as required. Do we want to mention the War Memorial?
Ms Bowes might, do you want to mention the War Memorial?
Top of the actions list, our old Chestnut, the War Memorial Park. There actually is, it's going on to 3 pages now, but there is more progress. So through the GM, if Jess is happy to share that with us, so we'll take that.
Yeah, thank you. So it's not a very concrete update, but it is just to let councillors know that this is something that has not dropped off the radar by any means. And I've been in discussion with the Crown Solicitor and also Council Solicitor a lot, and again today sent something back. I had a response from the Crown just about a couple of queries that we had about the process and how this is all going to work, some concerns that our solicitors had, so that's gone back to our solicitor again for review today. So hopefully it will start to really speed up now, because we're kind of down to the very nitty-gritty of it. So we do have an agreement, a draft agreement there to sign. And basically the process, once that is signed, once we're happy that we're putting council in a good position, That will be executed by the General Manager and the Crown, and then that will go to the Surveyor General will direct us to get a survey that will update the plans on all the relevant parcels of land and put all the encumbrances on there, and then we'll be able to kind of basically tick the box and move on. It won't be that simple, but we're getting there.
Oh, wow. Okay, all right. We'll take every step of progress we can get. Any questions from councillors relating to the actions list as the usual favourite? Councillor Owen Cook, go for it.
I'm just wondering what the progress is on the notice of motion for the King Island Shipping Group.
A heap of work has been done on that, and Councillor Layla, you're welcome to answer that.
The draft terms of reference that councillors had an opportunity to respond to have been finalised in that from council's perspective. Then the agreement is that will now go out to the relevant bodies for consultation. So that's what I'm meeting with Marty on Friday to discuss that further.
We anticipate that it should go up for the May meeting, especially if we're going to move the May meeting back by a week. It might make the cut for the May meeting. So that's where it says in the actions arising there in 5025. Councillor Healy.
And I did notice in the terms of reference draft, it's very important that it's called the King Island Transport and Freight Group, not the King Island Shipping Group. It is a very different beast.
Yep.
And it also includes air freight and transport, as opposed to just shipping.
Yes, well spotted. Any other questions then relating to the actions list? Service requests for March, only a few. With an average normally 20, there was hardly any. We'll take that as good news, and the backlog continues to reduce. So well done to the works team and reception and others who are keeping track of those and getting them off once they're completed or closed off. Any other questions relating to this report? Somebody like to move that we receive the information report for March 2025? Councillor Rowan Cook has moved. Councillor Ira Cook has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Over the page, item 16.3, the Deputy General Manager's report for March. Marty, welcome back after being off King Island for a few weeks. So good to see you back.
1 week.
Oh, okay. Good stuff. Through the GM, if Deputy GM would like to, if you'd like to hit any wave tops or plug anything, you're welcome to. Otherwise, we'll crack on. Okay. Councillor Green.
I just have one little question for the Deputy Manager here, through the Mayor. I see item 2.5.7, Council develop a program for planning and ongoing maintenance of fire breaks, particularly in the town areas. Have we made any progress on that? Because it will make a number of residents exceedingly happy.
We haven't made any progress yet on fire breaks, no.
No further questions or discussions. Somebody like to move that the DGM's report be received and noted for the month? Deputy Mayor has moved. Councillor Healy has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Across to item 16.4, Community Assistance Program. Just to head off it, any questions? The same question has occurred to me and several councillors because we had a bit of a talk about in the lead up to this. It's passed the qualified advice, so it does meet our council policy. And we did buy a new oven last year for the CWA. So our community assistance grant funding has been spent recently buying new appliances, new infrastructure. We did it for the CWA last year, and obviously this time around it's going to be a contribution to try and complete the refurbishment of 2 units in Snodgrass Park in the hope that they might be reoccupied and clear the long waiting list. So But at this stage, it meets the grant requirements.
Yep.
And it's won't be the first time we've bought ovens.
No, that's right.
So I'll just highlight that to councillors, part of the consideration for this. Any discussion or?
I'll move it.
Deputy Mayor has moved it. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Laidler has seconded. All those in favour for this motion? Carried unanimously. Across to item 16.5, strategic plan. Revised strategic plan, obviously something that all of us as a team have been working on for 6 months. And well done. It's been a good team effort with a couple of planning sessions with the expert we brought in. It was Margaret, wasn't
Devlin,
it?
yes.
As well as workshops to follow up. So we're quite advanced in hopefully amending this to councillors' satisfaction. And I just remind all councillors that this, when ratified, is still a living document. So any justified amendments or improvements can still occur to it. So it will ratify it perhaps or adopt it as perhaps the 95% solution, knowing that it's a live document and we can still tweak it and improve it along the way when we find reasons to do that. We're not carving this into a stone tablet when we approve it today. Councillor Allen.
Talking about tweaks and improvements, Mayor, I wish to move this motion. I've got 4 actually, but I'll move them one by one. It goes like this, and Jess, I can give you the typed version in a moment. That prior to consideration for adoption, the following amendment be made to the draft revised strategic plan. And the amendment is the addition of section 3.8 under goal economic development, the wording being 3.8 brand management, and the point underneath the wording is to manage, grow, protect and enhance King Island's brand. So I'll give that to Jess.
Yeah, if you've got that in writing, that'd...
Jess, here it is. Put it in.
Can you just put that up and let us just have a look at it?
And I'll just... all I'm suggesting, councillors, and I'll talk to it in a moment, but it's just an addition. If you look at your document under economic development, and there's...
So essentially, it's wording amendments that you're putting up as an amendment.
Yeah,
an addition.
It's an addition, but I'll speak to it, and then I can talk to the merits of it.
3.8.
Well, it's not there. It's a new 3.8.
Yeah. So the amendment is an addition. I'm amending the document, and the amendment's an addition.
So does that mean you're not happy with the document as it currently stands, Councillor Allen?
No, it means simply, without sort of doing a psychoanalysis of me, it means that I see merits and benefits of having this additional point put there, and I see benefits for the King Island community by adding this to the strategic plan.
And another way we might be able to do this is defer it back to another final workshop where we can all be satisfied ourselves on final tweaks and amendments. This is a 2025 year of production, so we're in no hurry to get this out. It can be right.
Mr Mayor, can I just make a point that we've had about 2 months of this? I think the staff are waiting for us to go in to approve it, so they go into the annual plan because they've got to get that out before the financial year ends.
Yeah, through the Mayor, just to confirm what the Deputy Mayor has said, it has been a long process and it's been through a number of workshops. The staff do need to have this plan in whatever you decide today, preferably adopted, because we are restructuring and reformatting the annual plan, and we cannot do that until Council adopts the strategic plan because they need to reflect each other. So, as you know, the annual plan needs to be adopted in June, so we have weeks, not months. So that's why it is imperative, and you can go through the amendments, and of course you can decide yes or no, that's an issue for Council. But if we don't have a strategic plan adopted at tonight's Council meeting, we are going to struggle to then get the annual plan to you in draft for discussion and workshops and more discussion and more workshops, and then adopted by the third week of June. So that's the imperative.
Councillor Allen, just before we go on, take Councillor Healy's question. Councillor Allen, does that change anything? And does that change your sentiments or your suggestion?
I just feel I may have a resolution.
Councillor Healy.
Second might be handy, and then we can kick it off.
My question is a question by way of resolution. We're told it's a living document, can be changed at any time.
Mm-hmm.
What is the process involved in that?
Through the Mayor, if it's adopted tonight as is, then at a subsequent workshop and council meeting, you might decide to modify it and then vote on that. But it would then give councillors an opportunity to think about that and to discuss it at a workshop rather than do it on the spot. But that's an issue for you.
So therefore, any small edits to this particular document as it sits right now would need to go to a workshop and then to a council meeting
ideally,
again?
And I'll just explain why. So if, for example, you added brand management, for example, then we will then need to think about how that then is extrapolated in an annual plan, because every goal here will need to have some action attached, otherwise why have the goal? So it would need to then be it would have to be then in relation to that. So it has to be connected.
And I'm just aware of the time constraints, but I'm also aware that there are things that I am thinking about as well. I'm just trying to, is it easy to keep this as a living document? I'm wondering about the ease. Rather than in order to get this through, but to acknowledge that we've all got thoughts that we would like it to be a living document. I'm just trying to resolve this situation this evening.
I'd be hopeful that the council can adopt whatever you decide tonight, and then at least keep it in time or enough time for us to develop the annual plan. So I'd be hoping that you would at least keep it intact, whatever you decide tonight, for 3 or 4 months, for example, hopefully a bit longer.
Look, the normal procedure would be here, in a point of order, the normal procedure would be I move it, okay, and then if there's a seconder, then I will speak to the motion and explain to you why I propose it here and now, and then you can all hear that, and we can have for and against, backhand, forehand across the room, and then we can all vote for it, and it might be 8-1 against or 9-0 for, and then we move on.
Okay, accepted. Accept the point of order, Councillor Allen.
I've moved
you're happy with the wording of your
order? Is if it's okay to ask for a seconder. If not, I die in the arse here.
I just want to make sure you're happy.
I asked a question, a procedural question.
Okay, hang on a minute, Councillor Voden. I just want to make sure that Councillor Allen...
Are we dealing with King Island property here? Do we own this brand?
Point of order.
I think
the Mayor should. Point of order.
We have a point of order.
I've moved the motion, and it's up to the Mayor whether the Mayor so chooses to follow the standing orders of this meeting. And the point of order, I'm saying, the Mayor could ask for a seconder, and that's the next part of this meeting.
And that's
set up with my tail between
that's exactly, Councillor Allen, that's exactly where I'm at. I just want to make sure you're happy with the wording, and you move what's up there so a seconder can see what they're seconding.
The Mayor hasn't deviated from the code of meeting practice. We're just going through the questions.
We just need to be clear with what amendment is being moved, and then so a seconder knows exactly what they're seconding, and then we can pile in on no problems.
Can I ask that, Councillor Allen?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Sure you can.
No, that's all good. Thank you.
Maybe as part of the ensuing...
Okay, you can ask questions.
Councillor Lodlaw, go ahead.
I just want to ask a clarification question. So the motion saying that prior to consideration for adoption, that we add this extra thing, we're not saying that we're not going to then... Do we move then another motion to say we adopt it with that?
And then the next motion I put is that the amended revised strategic plan be adopted, which means that encompasses what the original is with the amendments. That's just the meeting procedure which I'll do.
Anyway, so Councillor Allen, you're happy with the amended wording up there for the motion you moved?
Absolutely fine, Mayor.
Okay, all right. Do I have a seconder to support Councillor Allen? Councillor Healy, you're happy to second? Okay, Councillor Healy has seconded. So back to you, Councillor Allen, to talk to your amendment.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. And from the discussion, I'm intimately aware that this hasn't been talked to in a lot of detail in workshops. I have personally struggled with the rigidity of the times of workshops to get there. I have asked for them to be moved so I can get there, but I understand that it's not fair for me to ask for 8 people to bend to accommodate me. So I've struggled to get to workshops, and I've seriously struggled on the end of a Zoom line to or whatever it's to communicate this. So that's my personal bit. I would have mentioned in workshops if it was all feasible. But what I put up there to you is not anything new. We currently have a special committee of council called Brand Management. For lots of reasons, and I would dare say because of a key one would be because of workload and because of council changes, then the Brand Management group hasn't been active. All this is doing is reflecting what a current and previous commitment for this council has made for brand management. So it is reflecting current practice for brand management. It is nothing new. It's what already existed. We have a brand management special committee of council, and it hasn't been rescinded. And the other bit too is if we look through the things, and the absolute keys to this is, one of our mission statements. So this is what informs all these strategies underneath. One of our missions is a champion of local business industry. Right? The King Island brand is the absolute key part to that. The absolute key part to it. Right? And the other part too is that, we've been delighted that the King Island dairy sales has gone through, and that was something that all King Islanders were worried about. This iconic brand could well disappear. So we've got a first-hand experience how important King Island brand is. So this is a way of reminding everyone that King Island Council is committed to the King Island brand. It's not going over and beyond anything else. Must have been a long meeting because it is something that I feel really important, and I guarantee all through those meetings, I don't know, I must have been half asleep. The fact that I didn't mention it. I don't know how I got through all those meetings, but what I'm suggesting is nothing that goes over and beyond what we currently do. Right? So for the sake of an argument, I just say it's really nothing new. It's just an oversight that it's not in there originally. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Allen. Look, point well made. I'll just highlight in 3.6 under tourism and increased visitation. It does mention our brand, facilitate and promote promotion of King Island's unique brand as a destination for visitors and residents. So brand will be mentioned in at least a couple of the line items. Councillor Hill.
I actually have notes written here before this evening. It's actually it's more the unique brand and offerings. It's tourism is very different to brand, and I think a delineation needs to be there. I think brand is the wrong word, and I've actually said the unique offerings as destination to visitors. It's the tourism sentence is not quite right. Facilitate, it currently says, facilitate the promotion of King Island's unique brand as a destination for visitors and residents. That is not a terrific tourism word. I was suggesting facilitate the promotion to potential visitors of King Island's uniqueness and offerings.
Another amendment.
I'm happy for it to sit, but I would like brand as a separate.
Okay. Point. Yep, no worries. Any other contributions to Councillor Allen's amended motion? We know the importance of King Island's brand. He's articulated his point very well. If it deserves, and maybe it does deserve to be a standalone item like he's proposed. Any other considerations from councillors before we go to a vote on the issue? Councillor Allen, option for you to close if you so desire.
Just write a reply, please. And I'll only just address what's been said. Be nice. Just pretty much echoing some of what Councillor Healy says. Brand goes beyond tourism. Our beef industry, our biggest industry, who have to endure upwards of $140 a head freight off the island, is so reliant on the brand as a premium product. It's just absolute key to this industry. Then you go to the dairy industry, and then no doubt the kelp industry would be, the King Island brand's important to that. The rock lobster industry, King Island crayfish. And then further down the list, you start to hit tourism. And the King Island brand's also about our lifestyle as well. So it's absolute key to it. And as I said before, it's more than tourism, but I said before, I don't know how I didn't pipe up and mention it in those earlier meetings. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Allen. Now we've got to go to a vote now. Councillor Bowden, we've finished debating the matter. So the amendment is put up, moved by Councillor Allen and seconded by Councillor Healy. We'll now go to a vote on it. All those in favour of that amendment? That is unanimous. So sorry, Councillor Allen, I missed you. Unanimous. The amendment is carried. Councillor Allen, did you have a subsequent?
He's got three more.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Give us your second proposed amendment.
Yep. Got a second one, and I won't speak to it. It says, a lead-in sentence, Jess, is the same as the other one, that prior to consideration for adoption, the following amendment be made to the draft revised strategic plan. The addition of section 4.4 under goal 4 King Island Lifestyle, the wording being 4.4 Youth Development. Support the youth by developing programs and opportunities that promote civic engagement, activity, learning and leadership. And trust me, that's the last one I've got.
We'll just get that wording up. We'll confirm you're happy with it, Councillor Allen,
yep.
And then we'll. Then, if you're happy to move it, we'll go to and get a seconder for you. So just make sure you're happy with the wording.
Sorry. Oh my goodness, I have my fingers on the wrong key.
No, don't blame me. I've bought a new keyboard and I'm random with it. I can tell you that.
So 4.4 will be the addition.
Of
the youth development.
The quick little three edits.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
maybe it's not appropriate to say anything, but given it's an area of community development, I just want to say that while in the community development section, I know it talks about all ages and might mention some of these things, I actually agree with Councillor Ian that it's nice to distinguish, youth separately, and yeah.
Okay. So, Councillor Allen, just as soon as you're happy with the wording, as soon as you're happy with the wording, it'll just be at 4.4, the addition of 4.4 with not
to promote civic engagement, activity, learning and leadership. Yeah, thanks, Jess.
All right, so you're happy to move that? Consider it moved? Do I have a seconder for that amendment? Councillor Laidler has seconded. So, Councillor Allen, back to you to talk to your amendment.
Yeah, thanks. Forgive me for repetition. This is, the addition of this is just mirroring the good practice that's been happening. Mark Wishnat, oh God, I need to what he said. Mark Wishnat especially went up to school and worked with the students and especially looked at the idea of civic engagement and leadership and got them involved in some decision-making ideas. Back in the old days when I was involved at school, we had Green Team kids come up here and learn how to present to councils and how to lobby. They knocked on the General Manager's door and demanded a few things. I think they even thumped the table at one stage. And then if you look at the other ones to do with activities and programs for the youth, tonight we've heard from Taylor about the programs with youth art happening down at the gallery, and we've heard about the kids' engagement with the opening of the courts. So once again, this is simply mirroring the good practice that's been happening at this council.
Thanks, Councillor Allen. Point well made. Councillor Healy, contribution?
Very quick, yes, just with the wording we have changed to support the youth. Sorry, it previously said to develop, and I don't think it's council's role to develop those things. I think we can support and facilitate.
Okay, so you're happy? Happy as seconded?
As written, I'm happy now.
Any other contributions to the debates and the amended motion put up by Councillor Allen? Okay, Councillor Allen, at your discretion to close if required.
No, thank you, Mayor.
All right, we'll go to a vote on that second amendment there for youth development. All those in favour of the amendment proposed? Deputy Mayor, are you with us on this one? Yeah. Carried unanimously.
Mayor, my last one is
Amendment 3.
That the amended revised strategic plan 2022-2032 be adopted.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Allen. That tidies things up nicely. The seconder for that to approve the rest of the document. So Councillor Healy will go with that. Excellent. Jess, are you still with us?
I just need that wording again, sorry.
This is just tidying up, getting back to the original recommendation.
Council adopts amended revised.
Okay, yeah, leave it like it is. Okay. So we're otherwise adopting the rest of the document as has been tabled, which tidies up things nicely. So Councillor Dott, we'll wait for Jess to catch up with us again.
Well, we better put a year there, otherwise that won't make any sense. Okay, it's there.
Yep. Strategic plan, it was 2022/2032.
All right, so happy with that final wording, Councillor Allen. Just make sure you're happy. That tidies things up and closes off the adoption of the document, which is good. Who was the seconder? Did we get a seconder?
Councillor sorry.
Councillor Ira Cook. Okay, we'll put down Councillor Ira Cook as a seconder. So it's been moved and seconded, and this is to adopt as was essentially originally put up in the recommendation, is to adopt the rest of the document as tabled. So that's what we'll now vote on. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. All right, thank you, councillors. We'll move on to, what is the next item?
Well, can I just acknowledge the work of Jess in putting the strategic plan together?
Yes.
So, particularly in my absence, she did a great job.
All right, over to item 16.6, the Columbarium. I keep calling it Columbian. Columbarium, which is the new cemetery walls project. I'll keep it simple. Recently workshopped. The designs are attached. This is for noting. It's obviously going to improve and expand our cemetery to be able to take in more plaques in the future and ashes, etc. in a slight expansion of our cemetery, which is running a cemetery is core council business, as we know. Councillor Laidler? Councillor Laidler has moved. Adoption of that. Seconder? Councillor Green has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously.
Mayor, I thought you might tell them what the experience we had yesterday.
Well, in the interest of time, we'll crack on. But yes, it was a good example raised yesterday about the importance of these cemetery walls. Item 16.7, the Narra Cooper Master Plan.
And may I be excused? And I have another appointment at 6. So
Yes.
regarding polling.
Thank you, Councillor Later, and I acknowledge your dogged determination to get this through and all your work and
I'll wait to
contribution.
hear.
And you as our rep on the Narra Cooper Progress Association as well. I just note to the remaining councillors that this revised Narra Cooper Master Plan we're noting the Narra Cooper Master Plan and we're not endorsing it and we're not adopting it as a council. So just an important differentiation to make. Councillor Allen.
Oh, sorry, Mayor. I was going to move this motion that council adopt the Narra Cooper Master Plan.
I think the wording in the recommendations has been carefully selected, given the nature of this development. GM, can you explain that?
And also agreed by the Narra Cooper Progress Association. So there are a number of commitments in the plan. So council, in the absence of looking at the whole plan and its budget, it's been recommended that we acknowledge the wonderful work and that we note the plan, and that will come back to council in terms of its budget consideration as the years go through, because it's not just next year, it's ongoing years. So it doesn't commit council, again, just in light of committing council to an unknown budget consideration for the whole of the budget and what that might cost. In this case, it will come to council for your consideration as part of the whole budget consideration, which is why you're not adopting it, but you are acknowledging the work and you're noting it.
Just in response, if I may, we've adopted lots of plans, from recreation plans to tourism strategy, to just name a few, and they've all got things that are unfunded. It's what we do. We come up with this dream, which is a master plan of if there was a pot of gold, this is what we'd love to happen. Same when we had a plan for the parking and beautification of the main street. When we adopted the plan, we thought, that'd be great, but we haven't got the funding, and we understand that to seek the funding is the next logical step in it. So, we get it. We know that we come up with these dreams and they're not funded. We just got to work hard once we've got the plan, and we've got something shovel ready. That's the idea. We have it, we've planned it, we've consulted. Councillor Laidler has beavered away really well and done a very thorough job of consultation. It's been back and forwards, around for ages. And this version I see is a lot different than the original one that's happening. It's been a lot of modifications and changes and improvements to it. And there are things in there that are good old shovel ready. And, if lucky enough we have another election at some stage, we might have a generous candidate promise to fund some of these things. But
well, through the Mayor,
we're ready to go. So a lot of them will be, and this is the step towards getting shovel ready.
Through the Mayor, the primary difference with this plan, as you can see it from the very front page, and the other plans that you have mentioned have been council initiated, council developed, and have been council resolutions. This is developed, prepared by the Narra Cooper Progress Association, so it is not a council plan, and that's a very critical, important difference between the ones that you mentioned and what this is. This is not a council initiative. It did not come to council to be developed. It's a great initiative from the Narra Cooper Progress Association. It is not a council plan. That's the critical difference.
Just in response to that, and Catherine, this is not critical of you because I've just been here a little bit longer and know the history behind this, and it's stuff that I do. I apologise that I haven't said that the work that the Parks and Rec group started back in probably 2018, 2019 was to develop master plans for the area. We started phase 1 and that was when Gregor Lames was here, and we had an urban designer come over and do the first little bit of Narracoopa. So that was definitely council initiated, it was council paid for, general manager, boots and all behind it. And we got that first bit going. Then we followed up and we had support from definitely the Parks and Rec Working Group. I'm not sure if there'd been official resolutions through council on that. There was intention to follow through and get that to this next stage. So we had the initial designs to the next stage, but the whole process was started by council, right? And of course we talked to the Narracoopa Progress Association. That was that phase. It dwelled. I'm not going to go into the details and throw mud while it was dwelled. No, I'm not going to go there. Then the Parks and Rec Working Group made some recommendations, and we looked at all the different areas, and I've banged on about the way we went about prioritising stuff, and we went through it, and the two that cropped up that we saw which were the priorities, which is the development of a plan for the grassy recreation area and to finish off the Narracoopa piece of work. Now, I don't know the twists and turns. We thought we had funding there, whatever else. There's been a few changes here. That didn't happen within the time period. Right? All the Councillor Laidler has done used her initiative and done the council a huge piece of favour and just done that finishing off piece of work. Right? And she's done it understandably in conjunction with the Narracoopa Progress Association. So even though it feels like the Narracoopa Progress Association has initiated this project, that's actually not the case. This has been initiated by this council, by councillors that sit in this room.
Councillor Allen, there are two options available to you. You can move the recommendation as is listed, and as I recommend is moved to all councillors, mindful that it's prepared by the Narracoopa Progress Association, as written at the top of the document, not prepared or put together by the council or in accordance with local government required specifications to put together strategies and reports. So you can move that the council note the master plan as is in the current recommendation, or you can move your own amendment to adopt the Narracoopa master plan. It's at your discretion, but
or the other council's discretion.
Yeah, or other councillors' discretion as well to accept that or not.
I'm still happy to move it. If there's no seconder, then the motion lapses. So be it.
Can I just ask?
Councillor Oracle.
I just want to ask a question, clarification. So what you're saying is there is a plan already adopted by council for Narracoopa improvements, and this is a separate second plan.
All right. I know for sure there's been what we call a concept plan developed for the Narracoopa area, which was stage one. All right. And it was basically sketch details. What this does is flesh out some more details from that concept plan. All right. What I don't know off the top of my head is whether how it's been presented to council. I know it's been presented to council in a report. I'm not sure if it's had really watertight recommendations associated with it. All right. Okay, that bit I'd need to really pin down, but it was developed a concept plan, so it was a lot of sketch diagrams and some ideas, but it wasn't in a more official looking document such as this.
All right, getting back to the matter at hand, would somebody like to move the recommendation as listed there to note the Narracoopa Master Plan and acknowledge the great work of the Progress Association? Councillor Green has moved it. Councillor Healy has seconded it. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Mindful that Councillor Laidler has slipped out, just so we're 8 of 9. Yeah, Councillor Green moved it. Councillor Healy seconded it. Councillor Laidler slipped out, so it was unanimous, but it was 8 votes, not 9. Yeah, I already know. Okay, excellent. All right, thank you. We'll slip over to 16.8, which is the third last page. The council meeting schedule. A proposal to move our May meeting back by a week because of staff availability, and also the possibility that we might actually be able to pass our financial year budget late in May, and that presents a window of opportunity for us as well to get it done slightly earlier than June. So the proposal there is to move the currently listed 20th of May meeting back a week to the 27th of May to take into account those considerations. Somebody like to move? Deputy Mayor has moved. Councillor Green has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Again, 8 of 9. All right. Right, over the back. Closed council. Would somebody like to move that we adjourn to closed council to transact the following? Councillor Rowan Cook has moved. Councillor Bowden has seconded. All those in favour? Thank you. Ordinary meeting is adjourned. We thank the public for attending or listening.
Ian didn't vote.
Ian, did you vote with us on? We're just adjourning to closed council.
I didn't vote on the. So that meeting clashes now with the tourism forum that can't move.
We can't move the tourism forum.
Australian Tourism Tas and
What time is it? From 3 until 7.
Well, may I suggest? No, I can't back up, can I? Put the backing alarms on. Could we have them be daring, have a meeting on Wednesday? Be brave.
Look, let's, in the interest of finding a solution.
We'll do an email to see what day suits.
Yeah, we'll consider this passed, but we'll try and deconflict with that if necessary, and we might be able to change the date and find a clear space, but it'll have to be that week.
We'll need a formal resolution of council to change it. General Manager, do we?
Technically.
It'll need to be that week either way.
I'm happy to move something in the closed meeting.
Okay, well, we'll do that then.
Yeah, okay, all right. Okay, so we'll consider that that passed.
Did you say you didn't vote from that?
No, I definitely didn't vote for the date change. No, sorry. I'm sorry with my tone.
All right, just quickly tidying up here. Would somebody like to move that we adjourn to closed council to transact the following? Councillor Healy has moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Oracle has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. The ordinary meeting is now adjourned. Thank the public for attending and listening. We'll take a quick break. Back in 5 minutes. Thank you.